Uh, Brad, look like they got Luke Doty back, and as you know, as a starting quarterback, and got from what I can tell, from what I'm gathering, it's a lot of you got some weapons. You know, Marshawn Lord and Kevin Harris and Juju McDowell, just go Josh Van, just go seem like they got quite a few weapons. What kind of you have what kind of game plan are you formulating to try to combat that?
Yeah, they do. It's good, astute sort of observation. I mean, they've got offensive skill all over the place. I mean, the running backs are really talented, and you look at how they distribute it to them. I mean, all four of those guys, they make sure they get fairly equal touches. Obviously we saw a good dose of Kevin Harris last year. So we know what we're in for from a running back position. They're really talented. I think, 11 is a really, really talented player. We obviously saw Doty, last year as a freshman. He's coming back. He made some really tough throws against Georgia that showed a lot of toughness and grit, standing there in the pocket. Those receivers, obviously everybody saw, the kind of catches they can make there on the outside edge. So they've got a lot of weapons to deal with. So we've got to be mindful, and we understand the challenge that we're up against, but they can run the ball, they can push the ball down the field, and those receivers can go up and get it.
John Hale.
Brad, Mark the other day was talking about it's a situation where with JJ, it's probably less is more sometimes. So you could pick your spots with him. You don't have to overuse him too much. Just how can you see maybe the last 2 weeks that just where he's at in terms of his conditioning or whatever? Maybe was he out there too much, or what's kind of your ideal role for him moving forward?
Well, obviously, we're trying to find the sweet spot for him. What's the good rep? I think, every week he gets more and more, into football shape and confident, in what he can do. And there are times that it's not just sort of a singular game. It's sort of the cumulative effect. And obviously, played more in the Missouri game than we anticipated in him playing. And then, with Jordan last week, he had to play a much bigger role. And, but it's good. I think it's good for him, to have experienced that, to understand that his knee's good, that he can trust it, and he does. But we have to do a good job of managing and not pushing too hard. And, it's good to have Jordan, and, those other guys got to step up too. But no, I think he's in a good place. He's in a good place mentally. I think he's in a good place physically. So ideally, a few less snaps than he's taken the last couple of weeks. But, if we need to go that route, we'll go that route, depending on, how everything played out. But I think we're in a situation that we can take some off.
Adam.
Hey, Brad, how do you just feel how Marquand has played here in the first 3 games? I know Missouri and Chattanooga kind of went a little pass heavy on you all. I know he's maybe not, he wants to stop the run first with him, maybe not rush the passer with him. So just how do you feel he's done there here in the first 12 quarters?
Yeah, I think he's done decent. I think there's still more that we can get out of him, and I think there's more that he would sort of want out of himself. Not necessarily I think his effort's been really good. Some of his alignments we got to clean up at times, and he knows that. But when he's in there and a team tries to run inside, there has not been much room, where most teams have, had some success, is sort of pushing it away from him. But again, I think he's done a fairly decent job. But his standard and the standard that I've talked about with him is that to be a difference maker, it's not just about doing decent or doing good. We need him to to make some plays that can help change the outcome. And you mentioned it, there are some that, there aren't plays to be made. If you're on an edge and they run away from you, it's hard to affect the game. Sometimes if you're in the middle and they run to edges, you don't make as many plays. But hey, listen, if they're going to go to the pass route, right, just like we challenged Q to be an effector in the pass game last year, he needs to continue to affect the quarterback, and he's done that in some occasions, which is good. But I think there's opportunities out there for him to do more.
Josh Moore.
Hey, Brad, I have kind of a two-part question. Just in general, do you think it's harder for an offense or a defense to, go into a loud environment, especially for the first time in a year? And how do you expect your guys to respond? I know there's a lot of experience on your side of the ball, a lot of guys who've at least seen this, even if from the sidelines before. How do you think that's going to help you this week?
Well, I think it depends on which side you're on. I think it's it can go both ways. Going into an environment, like us going to South Carolina, I think obviously it's harder on an offense just because the communication piece, fans are going to be louder when, your side has the ball. They'll be quieter when their offense has the ball. So we're able to communicate more. When we're at home, we love the enthusiasm and, of the home crowd, which gets you juiced up on defense, but also there can be some communication, that you have to make within a loud environment when you're in a home at defense. I think this week for us, the crowd, it's more of a momentum thing when you're playing on defense on the road, is that you can't let it affect you. You can feel how a crowd is affecting a game, with momentum. And our guys have to be a little bit immune to that, because there's going to be ebbs and flows, good and bad, both offense, defense, special teams, whatever the case may be. And you can't buy into that.
Nick.
Jaquez wasn't necessarily known as a pass defense kind of guy. He was more of a thump and run stopper at Ole Miss, but he's made quite a few plays, quite a few pass breakups. He had that nice pick. Is this something you anticipated? What did he do to develop that skill?
Well, I think some is instinct. Like I think he does some nice instinctual things, both in the run and the pass game. I think, his work with Coach Summerall here has really helped sort of expand, his tool set to where it's, hey, you're not just a box run fitter. Like there are other things in our defense that we require you to do. And he's a learner of the game. Like he studies as much as anybody in the building. He's here all the time. He's watching film by himself. He watches after practice. He's very critical sort of himself. And when you do that and you put that kind of time and effort in, you get better at things. And he has gotten better since his arrival in coverage. And there's still, as many plays as he's made, there's still more plays that he's going to make in the future. And again, when we give landmarks or we give certain details of a distinctive drop, he executes those. And when you do that, good things happen. And we've been thankful. Obviously, the pick in Missouri was huge. His ability to get back on that pop pass and get a hand on it, that was a huge PBU in the game. So we need him to continue to make those big plays for us.
Kent Spencer.
Yeah, Brad, a two-parter. The last 2 weeks you guys have played against offenses that the quarterbacks kind of get the ball out of their hands pretty fast. Do you have to kind of keep encouraging your defensive front, because obviously for those guys that can be pretty frustrating? And what do you see out of South Carolina? Is this an offense that allows those guys to be able to get home?
Well, so I'll start with the first one. Yes, you do have to continue to boost their confidence and encourage them to keep working. We talk in our building, every position has things that are difficult, but one of the toughest things to do is the pass rush. Because if you're having a phenomenal day and they pass the ball 40 times and you have 4 sacks, that means you have 1 sack every 10 throws, which means, and you're not getting all 4 of them. You know, that's around the whole group. So I may rush 10 times to maybe touch the quarterback once, or maybe touch him twice. You know, I think everybody sort of makes the point that, you know, we didn't sack the QB. I think we had 9 QB hits, you know, which is one of the larger numbers that we've had, you know, over the last couple of years. But yeah, so don't get frustrated. It's about affecting the quarterback. And, but hey, in this day and age, everybody understands that's something we have to temper with our guys to say, it's not just about sacks. It's about affecting the quarterback, doing your job, running, getting out of the stack when the ball is thrown. And it is really hard because it is mentally taxing. If I told anybody on this call that, hey, you're going to take a test and you're only going to get 1 correct and 9 incorrect, you'd feel really poor about yourself. So, yeah, and obviously, you know, we had the QB hit on the interception, you know, which affected the quarterback. You know, everybody talks about Ty, but people forget about Ox hitting the quarterback. So, and then I'm sorry, the second part of the question, what South Carolina does, you know, they're going to have opportunity. They're going to push the ball down the field, but just like, you know, the last 2 opponents, obviously, I think, you know, you can anticipate the ball coming out quick as well. And so we got to do a good job. We got to pin ball carriers to the ground. We got to continue to tackle. I think we need to tackle better. But when they go to take some of their deeper shots, our guys have to convert and they got to win.
John Clay.
Yeah, Brad, my question was about Ox. How do you feel like he's coming along? And what do you want to see right now in his development?
Consistency. There are flash plays with Ox. There are things that he does really well, you know, that you get excited about. You know, he does a nice job effort-wise. He strains on every play. But he needs to continue just to be consistent on a down and basis to be, you know, that stout boundary tackle. And when he has the opportunity to win one-on-ones, you know, he's won a few, but that position is so critical to this defense. You know, you think about when Calvin was second in the SEC from that boundary tackle, you get a lot of one-on-one opportunities. And when you win those into the boundary, you know, we're really successful as a defense. So he needs to continue to grow in that area. But he's putting in the effort. He's working. So, you know, I would probably sound like a broken record, but no matter what the stats say, no matter what the scoreboard says, the thing that I'm most proud about this defense is they're a bunch of workers, and they come in every day and they grind and they work. And, you know, as a coaching staff, we got to make sure we do a good job of putting them in the position, because it is not for a lack of effort.
Okay, we'll take these last 2. Jeff Drummond, then John Wong. Go ahead, Jeff.
Hey, Brad, and looking at the stats, it seems like South Carolina's been pretty good on 3rd down. What do you see there, and what are you guys doing as far as trying to continue to get better in those situations?
Yeah, they've got a lot of playmakers they can get the ball to. They do a nice job making good decisions at the quarterback position, and that's such a crucial aspect of it is, you know, the quarterback understanding, you know, where to go with the football. And then, you know, guys have to win their one-on-one battles. You know, for us, that's what it comes down to. It comes down to 1, executing the defense calls, and 2, winning our one-on-one battles. We've done that, but not nearly consistently enough. And then on 3rd down, you know, we sort of ebbed and flowed in that Chattanooga game. You know, we were, we won all our third downs in the second quarter. I think it was maybe 2 of 7. They were only 2 of 7 maybe in the first half, but the second half it was poor. I think they may have been 5 of 8 or so in the second half. And we've got to be better, in those crucial situations on third down. I think we had maybe 2 of them there in the fourth quarter. And then the 2 they had in the first half that they converted were both on the first drive, a 3rd and 2 that got out on us. That was a bad play call on my part. I tried to get a little too cute. And then, the screen there in the red zone, we just got to, when you play man coverage, you got to pin that guy to the ground. So, again, some of it's play call, some of it's execution. We just have to continue to clean it up.
And John Wong.
Hey, Brad, I'll finish up with a 5-parter. No, I'm just kidding. That one part. You talked this year so much about both sides of the ball complementing each other. The offense complements the defense. The game is so much easier for the offense if you generate takeaways, if your guys generate takeaways. So I didn't know if there was any extra emphasis this week. You only have 2 for the year. Was there any extra additional intentional emphasis this week on being able to generate those turnovers?
Yeah, it's one of those things that, yes, I mean, we emphasize that all the time. That is a huge talking point every week, from spring ball to fall camp and it's not as if the guys are saying, I don't want to catch the interception or I don't want to strip the ball out. It's that fine line. There were some missed tackles that happened. The third quarter, on the first drive of the third quarter, I can just see it in my head, is we have guys going in, the ball carriers kind of standing up and they're ripping at the football because they're there's an emphasis on, hey, let's attack the football, attack it. Well, what we don't do is we didn't pin him to the ground. And when we ripped at it, then he spun away and then he got an extra, 7 yards. And so there's that fine line that you have is, hey, how much do you attack the football? Same thing on interceptions. You can go and you can dive and you can try to make the pick, but we've all seen it. The guys that miss, then it's caught and it's a big play. So, yes, there is a huge emphasis. We want to try to give the offense short fields, but you have to do it within the scheme work. And when the play's there to be made, we need to make it. Ty made it in that last game. He made it in the Missouri game. They gave us the PI. We did not make it in the Missouri game down on the goal line. Those are huge opportunities that we got to take advantage of. Again, we only had 1 in the Missouri game. Could have been upwards of 4. We had, the 2 interception opportunities, and another one when JJ ripped the ball out on the screen and we couldn't get on it. But I wish we could call a play that was a turnover play, but sometimes they just got to happen.
All right, Coach.